Hello, friends. As you already know, every yacht owner can obtain a residence permit in Montenegro. In this video, I'll try to provide more or less complete information on this topic. Let me start with which marina to choose. There are quite a few marinas in Montenegro, and new ones open almost every year. The best marina in all of Montenegro at the moment is Lazur, which is located in Herceg-Novi. This isn't just my opinion, it's the opinion of the yachtsmen I've spoken with. And I haven't just talked to one yachtsman, but to quite a few. Why is this the best marina? First of all, it's new. That is, everything there is new, everything works, and everything is built with modern technology. Secondly, it's safe in terms of climate conditions. It's located in a good spot and is well equipped. In short, out of all the marinas in Montenegro, it's the safest. And thirdly, it's relatively inexpensive. A cheaper marina is located on the island of Flowers, but everything is kind of far from there. You live on this island, and there's nothing nearby. But in Lajur, you're basically living in the city, in Herceg-Novi, with all the infrastructure you need nearby. And at the same time, it costs less than other marinas located in roughly comparable locations, so to speak. What is required to obtain a residence permit? Well, aside from the yacht itself, of course. As for the yacht owner, there can be several owners or just one. In short, what is required from the yacht owner is a certificate of no criminal record and proof of marina rental. You will receive a residence permit for the period for which you paid for the marina. So if you paid for 6 months, you'll get it for 6 months. If you paid for a year, you'll get it for a year, but not for more than a year. After this period expires, the residence permit can be extended. That is, if you extend your contract with the marina for another year, you go to the main directorate for migration affairs, submit your documents for a residence permit for another year, and so on. Next, you need a bank account with a balance of 3,650 euros. You will also need documents for the yacht. What is required for family members to obtain a residence permit? Basically, if it's hard to write everything down, you can request the list of documents from me. But I'll still tell you now which documents are needed. For the spouse, you need a certificate of no criminal record, a birth certificate, and a marriage certificate. For minor children, you need a birth certificate and a passport. If the child is already 16 years old, you also need a certificate of no criminal record. And also, yes, that's all for the documents. And finally, the last thing I want to talk about today is to compare a residence permit by yacht with a residence permit by company. The fact is, the vast majority of people who come to live in Montenegro obtain a residence permit through a company. This is a very popular way to emigrate. What should you choose? Get a residence permit through a company or get a residence permit through a yacht? Let's think about it. If you get a residence permit through a yacht, you don't have any expenses related to a company. That is currently taxes plus accounting fees plus bank commissions all together. It's about 100 euros in expenses to maintain your residence permit if you obtained it through a company. If you got your residence permit through a yacht, you don't have these expenses. Second, if you obtained a residence permit through a company, you work in your company as a director, you pay taxes, which means you have the right to a pension. If you obtain the residence permit through a yacht, then you do not have the right to a pension. Third, if you obtained a residence permit through a company, again, you pay taxes, which means you are entitled to free medical care. You all receive health booklets and accordingly can receive medical treatment for free. If you obtain a residence permit through a company, if you obtain a residence permit through a yacht, you do not have this right. And yes, fourth, when you obtain a residence permit through a yacht, you are not working in Montenegro, you are, so to speak, officially on vacation, well, officially not working. Accordingly, you do not need a kindergarten, so you do not have the right to a kindergarten, if you will, at least to a public one. Of course, you can send your child to a private kindergarten for a fee. If you receive the residence permit through a company, then the situation is different. You can send your child to a kindergarten, to a public kindergarten, which they can attend for free without any problems. And the last point, it seems to me, maybe I'm wrong, but it seems to me that getting a residence permit through a company is more reliable. Because with a company, you can get a residence permit in all countries. Always, as long as I can remember, it has always been available, and I am absolutely sure that it always will be. Yes, certain requirements might change. Maybe at some point they'll ask for some investments, or for you to hire local employees, or set a minimum tax amount, or something else. In any case, a residence permit through a company will always be available. As for other options for obtaining a residence permit, including getting one through a yacht, well, honestly, who knows? Maybe someday, in 10 or 15 years, they'll cancel it. So I think a residence permit through a company is more reliable, but a residence permit through a yacht also has certain advantages which I've just mentioned. Goodbye, everyone.